Murphy's Law finds its way into the plan of a team exploring the most remote and least accessible cave system in the world. Hello there, everyone. I'm film critic Nick Iacubucci, once again returning for RealScreenReviews.com, and our next movie review is the underwater adventure Sanctum. This film opened around the nation on Friday, February 4th, 2011, and it features Richard Roxburgh, Johan Grufford, Alice Parkinson, and Rice Wakefield. And yes, people, I haven't heard of most of these people either. Sanctum does come to us, however, from executive producer and writer James Cameron and director Alistair Grierson, the director of the Australian drama Kokoda from just a few years ago. He now leaves behind the barren countryside of Australia for the deep and unexplored water systems of the South Pacific and hopes to bring thrills, chills, and scares to the big screen in dazzling 3D. Now, our story begins telling us the tale of a father-son exploration team ready to probe the caverns in one of the most difficult and beautiful places on the Earth. They start the expedition with everything in check, but soon all is turned upside down when a tropical hurricane causes a flash flood to seal off any means of an exit for our team. From here, it quickly turns into a thriller in the endurance style of the Poseidon adventure, and one by one, as the Earth's elements attack the group, they must do everything in their power just to survive. Under the water proves almost overwhelming most of the time, and before too long, they begin to ponder if they will ever see the light of day again, or will they breathe their last breath struggling to get out. Well, people, to call the movie Sanctum predictable wouldn't even remotely begin to cover the definition of that word. Throughout the viewing of this film, not only did I know exactly what was going to happen, I knew exactly what character it was going to happen to. Oh, there's a wealthy guy in the story, so he's going to break down and act into his planned character. And then there's the hard-ass leader whose fate I knew about 10 minutes into the feature. Over the last 15 years or so, James Cameron has made countless trips diving and filming those dives in documentaries, and it only seems logical for him to evolve that technology into standard Hollywood projects. He has also added the dazzling, cutting-edge 3D visuals to try and encompass an all-around grand movie experience, but in the end, there are more than a few shortcomings from this film on a whole. Now, the underwater shots were truly magnificent, and the cave imagery was very satisfying as well. However, come on, people, I mean, to anyone out there that's been through the Universal Studios tour or the Disney MGM Earthquake attraction, this adventure in many spots just felt like those amusement park rides, or at least just as staged as them. I was actually very glad, though, that they weren't running from a chud-like sea monster. You know, natural disasters occur all the time, and whether you're above or below the waterline, people seem to struggle to survive to get through them more than we'd like to think. It does add a sense of realism to Sanctum that throughout the exploration of these caverns, individuals do get hurt, some very seriously, and some don't make it out at all. Now, I will say that the scenery is extremely impressive, and the film's many effects, especially the underwater sounds, were also great. Also, I once again love the fact that this is pretty much a regular movie that's in 3D, and by that I mean to say that it isn't a big-budget animated studio film. However, I am really looking forward to seeing the movie Rio nonetheless. Just as in the style of the recent horror wannabe My Soul to Take, Sanctum does a wonderful job taking what would be just another ordinary trip to the theater and enhancing it with the addition of the 3D glasses. And also, once again, I can't wait to see and review the very first dramatic 3D film, which in my opinion hasn't come around yet, because as of right now, you still need a gimmick to get the 3D movie made. Now, Sanctum is rated R, and it does its best to try and keep the film thoughtful with serious topics and situations. Mercy killings and leaving the perished behind are only two of the many conflicts experienced by the survivors as they move forward, and it does its best to pit our group against almost insurmountable odds from beginning till end. And considering that the entire cast is made up of unknowns, with the exception of maybe one or two, it seemed to me a little bit easier to get caught up in the adventure on a whole as well. At 103 minutes, Sanctum could have been a lot more of a fun movie, but the fact that it succumbs to stereotypes and standards brings this down altogether. This will most likely be much more entertaining to people with a common interest in diving. However, when the script that's there is just lacking in substandard in general, it's very difficult to get enthralled in it. It's not a terrible film, but it's a far distance from being considered better than average. Right down the middle on this one, people, with only 2 stars out of 4. And remember, people, I'm not always right, only when it comes to the movies. And thank you for your attention.